Pleasant afternoon, everyone. Our topic today is about the cell nucleus and the gene expression.
In the realm of cellular biology, one of the defining disparities between prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms lies in the presence of nucleus within eukaryotic cells. These nucleus serve as the custodian of genetic materials, housing vast genomes organized into linear chromosomes. Unlike their prokaryotic counterparts, eukaryotic genomes are intricately packaged into chromatin, a complex of a DNA and protein. This packaging presents a unique challenging. Yan, ulit na tayo. Nakikita niyo ba ako? Parang hindi niyo ako
Cut na
nakikita,
lang,
hindi ko
cut.
nakikita.
Cut na lang yan, ha?
Sige.
Ah,
Pero nakikita
three.
niyo ako.
Oo.
Okay, di ko kasi nakikita yung ano ko sa ano ni Yel, kaya akala ko hindi niyo ako nakikita. Ulit Yel, go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Pleasant afternoon, everyone. This is Group 6, and we shall be presenting about the cell nucleus and the gene expression.
In the realm of a cellular biology, one of a defining disparities between prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms lies in the presence of a nucleus within eukaryotic cells. This nucleus serves as the custodian of a genetic material, housing vast genome organized into linear chromosomes. Unlike their prokaryotic counterparts, eukaryotic genomes are intricately packaged into a chromatin, a complex of DNA and protein. This packaging presents a unique challenge for DNA binding proteins as they navigate through this complex landscape to find their preferred binding sites. Understanding the structure and function of the cell nucleus set the stage for dwelling into the regulation of gene expression in eukaryotes, a dynamic process governed by intricate molecular interaction within this vital organelle. This emergence of the nuclear envelope marks a pivotal milestone in cellular evolution, distinguishing eukaryotic organisms by encapsulating their genetic material within a distinct compartment. The membranous structure comprised of two parallel membranes spaced approximately 10 to 15 nanometers apart, housing an array of transmembrane protein that facilitate vital cellular functions. Notably, over 60 distinct transmembrane protein populate this membrane with some serving as connectors between the outer nuclear membrane and the cytoskeletal elements. The intricate architecture of cellular envelope includes cellular pores, where the inner and outer membrane fuse, forming complex protein assemblies. These nuclear pores plays a crucial role in regulating the exchange of molecules between nucleus and the cytoplasm, a process essential for cellular activities such as gene expression and protein synthesis. Remarkably, a typical mammalian cells host several thousands of nuclear pores, underscoring their significance in cellular physiology. The electron micrograph depicted in figure 12.5 offer a glimpse into a intricate landscape of the cell nucleus, showing heterochromatin enveloping the inner surface of the nuclear envelope. Additionally, prominent nuclear sites of ribosomal RNA synthesis and scattered chromatin scatters within these nucleoplasm illustrate the dynamic nature of nuclear organization and gene expression regulation. Now we are moving on to nuclear lamina.
The inner surface of the nuclear envelope is lined with the nuclear lamina, a filamentous meshwork composed of proteins known as lamins. Lamins are members of the intermediate filament family and play crucial roles in maintaining nuclear structure, chromatin organization, and gene expression regulation. The nuclear lamina serves as a scaffold for chromatin attachment at the nuclear periphery. It is implicated in DNA replication and transcription processes. Mutations in genes encoding lamins, particularly the LMNA gene, lead to various human diseases. One such disorder is Emery-Dreifuss muscular dystrophy type 2 or EDMD2, characterized by fragile nuclei in muscle cells. Additionally, mutations in LMNA are associated with Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome or HGPS, condition characterized by premature aging and cardiovascular complications. Patients with HGPS exhibit misshapen nuclei, highlighting the critical role of the nuclear lamina in maintaining nuclear structure. Synonymous mutation and phenotypic consequences. Remarkably, some of disease phenotypes, such as those observed in HGPS, can arise from synonymous mutations in the gene sequence. In HGPS, a synonymous mutation alters the splicing of the gene transcript, resulting in the production of a shortened protein and aberrant nuclear morphology. The example underscores the complexity of genetic regulation, wherein gene sequences encode multiple layers of information, including splicing patterns and protein folding instructions. Now we shall be moving into the nuclear pore function.
So, for the nuclear pore function, unlike the plasma membrane, which restricts the passage of macromolecules, the nuclear envelope actively mediates the bidirectional movement of RNA and proteins. Proteins synthesized in the cytoplasm, required for processes such as DNA replication and transcription, must be transported into the nucleus. Conversely, molecules such as mRNA, tRNA, and ribosomal subunits produced within the nucleus needs to be exported to the cytoplasm. This dynamic trafficking is essential for maintaining cellular homeostasis and supporting cellular growth and function. Now, for the magnitude of trafficking, the extent of nucleocytoplasmic trafficking is immense, as illustrated by the example of HeLa cells estimated to contain millions of ribosomes. To support its growth, a single HeLa cell's nucleus must import thousands of ribosomal proteins and export ribosomal subunits every minute, highlighting the efficiency and importance of nuclear transport mechanism. The nuclear pore complex, also known as the NPC, is crucial structure spanning the nuclear envelope, comprises of approximately 30 different proteins known as nucleoporins. This complex exhibits octagonal symmetry and features a central channel surrounded by nucleoporin rings. Despite its complexity, the NPC is highly conserved across species, indicating its fundamental roles in cellular function. Importantly, the NPC's dynamic nature allows for a change in the diameter of its central channel, ranging from 20 to 40 Newton meters, facilitating the passage of molecules of varying sizes. Additionally, the NPC undergoes dynamic rearrangement over time, with many components protein being replaced. This dynamic nature ensures the efficiency and adaptability of nucleocytoplasmic transport processes in response to cellular demands. Now, let us move on to the nucleosomes.
Nucleus For the nucleosomes represent the fundamental unit of chromatin structure. Each nucleosome consists of approximately 146 base pairs of DNA wrapped around a core histone octamer, comprising two copies each of histones H2A, H2B, H3, and H4. This structure forms a dish-shaped complex, with the linker histone H1 binding near the sites where DNA enters and exits the nucleosome. The organization of nucleosomes into chromatin fibers provides a compact and orderly arrangement of DNA within the nucleus. Next is the histone proteins. Histones are small, highly conserved proteins with a high content of basic amino acids, particularly arginine and lysine. Interaction between positively charged histones and negatively charged DNA plays a central role in chromatin packaging. Histone H1, also known as the linker histone, binds to linker DNA regions between nucleosomes, contributing to the compaction of chromatin fibers. For the next part, it will be about the chromatin structure. Chromatin fibers exhibit a beads on a string morphology when observed under the electron microscope, reflecting the arrangement of nucleosomes connected by linker DNA. This organization allows for the dynamic regulation of DNA accessibility, histone modifications, DNA methylation, and chromatin remodeling complexes further modulate chromatin structure, influencing gene expression and genome stability. The next will be nucleocytoplasmic transport. The transport of macromolecules across the nuclear envelope is facilitated by specific transport receptors, such as importins and exportins. These receptors recognize nuclear enabling. I these receptors recognize nuclear localization signals, or NLSs, or nuclear export signals, or the NESs, present in cargo molecules, enabling their transport into or out of the nucleus. The activity of these transport receptors is regulated by the small GT-phase run, which exists in an active GTP-bound form in the nucleus and an inactive GDP-bound form in the cytoplasm. For higher levels of chromatin organization, beyond the 30 nanometer chromatin fiber, the next stage involves the gathering of this fiber into large supercoiled loops or domains. These loops are tethered at their bases to proteins, forming a nuclear scaffold. During mitosis, chromatin reaches its maximum compactness, with a remarkable 10,000 to 1 packing ratio. For next, we have the heterochromatin and euchromatin. Following mitosis, most chromatin returns to an interphase state, but about 10% remains in a condensed form called heterochromatin. This dense chromatin is typically found in the nuclear periphery and exhibits low transcriptional activity. Heterochromatin can be constitutive, remaining compacted in all cells and at all times, or facultative, becoming compacted only in certain stages of an organism's life or in specific cell types.
Early perception of the nucleus as disorganized structure have been challenged by advancement in microscopy techniques. Fluorescence in situ hybridization and live cell imaging with GFP-labeled cells have revealed a high level of organization within the nucleus. Chromatin fibers not randomly dispersed, but instead form distinct territories that do not extensively overlap with those of other chromosomes. The localization of these territories may be related to the activity levels of the chromosomes, with gene-rich chromosomes typically positioned centrally. Despite residing within territories, chromatin fibers can extend beyond them, and DNA sequence from different chromosomes can interact within the nucleus, influencing Gene transcription. Techniques like chromosomes conformation capture or 3C have demonstrate both intra and interchromosomal interaction. For example, upon exposure to estrogen, chromosome containing target genes for estrogen receptor activi- activation reposition themselves within the nucleus, bringing gene loci into close proximity. This supports the concept of transcription factories, where genes involved in the same response tend to be colocalized. Overall, the movement of chromosomal loci within the nucleus appear to be driven by actin-myosin interaction, indicating a dynamic and highly organized nuclear environment that regulates gene expression. Now we are moving on to pre-RNA splicing.
The interrelationship between the nuclear organization and gene expression, focusing on the role of nuclear structures such as speckles in pre-mRNA splicing. Rather than being uniformly distributed, the processing machinery is concentrated within irregular domains called speckles, which function as dynamic storage depots for splicing factors. These speckles supply splicing factors for nearby sites of transcription. Micrographs illustrate the localization of splicing factors near sites of pre-mRNA synthesis. Nuclear structures such as nucleoli and speckles are dynamic compartments, with their component parts constantly moving in and out. If their activity is blocked, these compartments disperse into the nucleoplasm. Other nuclear bodies, such as the Kajal bodies, GEMs, and PML bodies, are also observed, each containing numerous proteins that move dynamically. These structures lack a membrane and do not require special transport mechanisms for movement. While various functions have been proposed for these nuclear structures, they are poorly defined and appear non-essential for cell viability. Therefore, they are not discussed in further detail.
So for the next part, the remarkable discovery that every cell in a complex multicellular organism contains the entire set of genes necessary for the development of the entire organisms. The experiments such as those conducted by Stewart, Gordon, and Wilmot's group demonstrated these concepts. For instance, Stewart's experiment showed that a mature plant root cell could develop into a complete plant, while Gordon's work proved that the nucleus of a differentiated intestinal cell could support the development of a normal amphibian when transplanted into an enucleated cell egg. Subsequent breakthroughs, including the cloning of Dolly the sheep, further confirmed that the genetic instructions for an entire organisms are present in an adult cell and can be activated under certain conditions. This discovery revolutionized the understanding of cell differentiation, emphasizing that it is not the presence or absence of genes that determine the cell properties, but rather how those genes are utilized. The success of cloning experiments demonstrated that the transcriptional state of a differentiated cell, controlled by the epigenetic state of its chromatin, is not irreversible, but instead, a differentiated cell nucleus can be reprogrammed to express genes appropriate for its new environment, indicating the role of cytoplasmic factors in gene regulation. Overall, these findings underscore the importance of selective gene expression in determining cellular identity and function, a fundamental aspect of molecular biology explored further in subsequent chapters.
For the gene expression between bacterial and human cells, the differences in gene expression between bacterial and human cells emphasize the complexity and specificity of protein synthesis in multicellular organisms. Bacterial cells, with their relatively smaller genomes, encode around 3,000 polypeptides, with about one-third typically being expressed at any given time. In contrast, Human cells contain significantly more DNA, allowing for the potential encoding of several million polypeptides. Despite the majority of DNA not coding for proteins, mammalian cells are estimated to synthesize at least 5,000 different polypeptides simultaneously. Many of these proteins are essential for basic cellular functions, while others are specific to particular cell types, contributing to their unique characteristics. The example of developing red blood cells highlights the precision of gene regulation in specialized cell types. Despite the vast genome, only a fraction of DNA encodes proteins specific to red blood cells, such as hemoglobin. The cell must efficiently locate and regulate the expression of these genes to ensure hemoglobin production dominates its synthetic activity. Gene expressions regulation in eukaryotic cells operates at multiple levels. Number one, transcriptional control determines whether a gene is transcribed and the frequency of transcription. Number two, processing control governs the conversion of primary mRNA transcripts into mature mRNA ready for translation. Number three, translational control dictates whether mRNA is translated into protein, influencing the frequency and duration of translation. And then for number four, post-translational control modulates protein activity and stability. These levels of regulation ensure precise control over gene expression, allowing cells to respond dynamically to internal and external signals and adapt to their environment.
The significance of differential gene transcription in eukaryotic cells emphasizes the issue of specific gene expression and the role of transcriptional control in regulating gene activity. Tissue-specific gene expression is illustrated through this example of a gene encoding a muscle-specific protein being transcribed in a muscle precursor cells of a mouse embryo. These highlight how different genes are activated or repressed in cells at various developmental stages in different tissues in response to diverse stimuli. Technological advancements such as DNA microarrays and DNA sequence have evolutionized gene expression profiling, enabling simultaneous analysis of genes in a organism or or cell type. Transcriptional control or by transcription factors plays a central role in gene regulation. Transcription factors can be general or sequence-specific, acting as activators or repressor to stimulate or inhibit transcription respectively. Transcriptional activators bind to a specific regulator to initiate gene transcription. Genes are typically controlled by multiple regulator sites, each bound by different transcription factors. Conversely, a single transcription factor may bind to multiple sites across the genome, regulating the expression of various genes. The complex regulation of gene transcription depends on the presence and binding affinity of transcription factors to a specific DNA sequence. Cell responds to stimuli by synthesizing different transcription factors, leading to variations in gene expressions pattern, with approximately 5 to 10% of gene encoding transcription factors. The myriad combination of interaction among these proteins coupled with variable binding affinities, allowing for precise control of gene expression patterns across different cell types, tissues, developmental stage, and physiological states. And that will be all. And thank you for listening to Group 6.